All right, everyone, it's 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Okay, Mayor Holland.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Brownlow.
Here.
Commissioner Sanderson.
Here.
Commissioner Sawyer.
Here.
And Commissioner Wooten.
Here.
Thank you. Please bow your heads with me in prayer, please. Dear Lord, thank you for the many blessings we are given. Let us not take for granted today, tomorrow, any days past that. Amen. Please stand and face our flag for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 5 will be the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion is carried. Item number 6 will be the discussion of legal, yes. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yes,
Mayor,
I'm
I'd
sorry,
like to
Jay.
make a motion real quick to adjourn this meeting promptly at 4:30 if we're not done before that.
All right, motion is on the floor to adjourn at or before 4:30. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Aye.
all right, 4-1, motion is carried. All right, item number 6 would be the discussion of legal representation as it pertains to potential UDO violations at 330 Live Oak Street and other properties. I'm going to leave the discussion up to the board. I will preface by saying that this is not a discussion of one way or the other at Live Oak or one way or the other at any other property. It is to discuss legal representation as it pertains to those matters and others. So this is not a single site, single purpose discussion. So I'll leave it at that and open it up to the board to begin the discussion.
All right. Well, sounds good. I can start out if that's all right, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so just to bring the public up to knowledge on what's going on, June 11th, I'm looking at a thing that was just passed out to me here on June 11th, 2024. First off, this isn't, I was one of the ones that called this meeting. I'm not calling this meeting to determine if 330's Live Oak or any other lot's legal or not legal, what was happening on that spot. I called this meeting to find out an email that I received last week determining a different thing that I knew nothing about, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. But this all kind of opened up a big can of worms starting back in June 11th when one of the residents, Mr. Jeff Ward, had mentioned something about 330 Live Oak and that it needed to be looked into. That was brought to our attention as a sitting board member up here, that it need to be looked into. And my response was to that to follow the UDO, which is our laws and rules, and whatever it says do what it says do, and that's the end of that. And I'm not here to decide if it was done right or if it was done wrong. That's not my job. My job is to look over the manager's shoulder, make sure he's doing the right thing, and hire our legal department. That's the two jobs the commissioner does. And if anything gets broken that way, then we come up here and we decide, hey, manager, you're not doing the right like you should do, or legal, you're not doing the right you should do. So this has been processing for a long time. As to my knowledge, a lot of emails I wasn't brought up to, so I don't know the whole story, but I've been trying to research this. Doing my research, I found a lot more things that have been happening behind the scenes that I knew nothing about, and quite upset me a little bit because I was kind of left out of the loop on quite a few things that progressed dealing with different objects. But like I said, my main job is to not be overseeing the town as far as day-to-day operations or anything else. So this isn't going to be, for me personally, about 330 Live Oak. It's going to be more about how the process happened and then how we move forward from this point, moving forward with legal determination on this subject matter. That'll be the last time I bring that part up. So one of my questions that I'm going to ask legal itself with, last week, sir, I got an email that I knew nothing about that, and that I did not agree to or did not as a board, sitting board, or in an open session, asked to be represented by as far as a settlement was concerned. I got an email saying that we had reached a settlement on a certain lot. And it was a little upsetting that I wasn't involved with the whole process until it just came down to we reached a settlement, and I think it even said it had been signed. And I'd like to know on whose authority, on behalf of the town, did you act on for this settlement? That's my question.
Yes, sir, thank you. We had been, let me just take a break and rephrase this.
Yes, sir.
I've been talking with the town manager, Mr. Seaberg, with the planning director, for some time over issues regarding 330 Live Oak Street. There were legal issues. They were asking me to answer. I was responding. This was all being done via email. It came to a head, let's see. I was asked to, I would say about September 25th, I was asked to draft some templates for the town to give a notice of violation under the UDO, generic. And I delivered those to the town on, I want to say September 26th. There was some discussion with myself, Mr. Seaberg, the town manager, over, the language to be put in these template letters. Specifically, I remember one was dealing with the appeal process. It was not directed towards any one lot, but I would have assumed it was for 330 Live Oak Street. On June 7th, I got an email from the town manager and Mr. Holland.
On June 7th?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, did I say June? October. October 7th. Basically asking my firm to prepare a letter addressed to the appropriate party involved in the development of activity at 330 Live Oak. They went on to say, they asked the letter include the following details: the exact amount of fine to be levied, the time frame for restoration, and the appeals process. That, in essence, was a notice of violation, in my opinion. I talked with my partner, Tommy Kellis, about it. We agreed this was a notice of violation. We had been trying to avoid being a decider of fact, in this case, decide whether a violation occurred or not. Just we wanted to interpret the law. But we decided to go ahead and issue the notice of violation. This was a Monday. The board was going to meet the next day. And I responded and said, I think the next morning, said, yes, I'll go ahead and write the letter for the town. But I asked to speak with Mr. Zapp and the mayor to basically say, firm up what you want in the letter, what allegations were, things like that. So I did actually speak with the mayor at the meeting. I don't remember exactly what the conversation, what was said, but, and actually I should probably stop right here because we're getting into attorney-client communications, the town being my client. And I know this is a public forum and I understand what you want to say, why you're asking the questions. But this is privileged communications, and you can or should go into a closed session to hear this. Otherwise, you might be waiving your attorney-client privilege.
What's your thoughts on that? With it's public knowledge as far as everything that's sent, emailed out, and back and forth to us all. Do we want to go in a closed session on this, or do we want to continue this in public forum here? My main question is, I can re-ask the question again. I don't really need to know all the details. I would just like to know under whose authority you negotiated a settlement with. That's the main thing, because I know, and I researched a little bit more just to make sure I was right, the the attorney for the town works directly for the board, and under the board, the two people as commissioners that we're allowed to hire or fire is the attorney and the manager. Everything else is done through day-to-day operation. So me not being in the picture and then seeing a settlement, you can imagine how upsetting it was when I see that I wasn't involved in any process of this going on. And so I still ask that question, under whose authority were you acting on behalf of the town to negotiate a settlement?
The short answer would have been town manager and the mayor. I've talked to the mayor on, at the October 8th meeting. There was another email. If you want me to go in more detail.
No, that's enough. That's good.
No, you don't have to go into any more detail. I want to clarify that we did speak, you and I did speak ahead of the October 9th meeting. And then I communicated via email after the fact that due to the sensitivity of the issue, I did not want myself or any member of the town staff to be involved. I wanted for fairness, transparency, for no interpretations of favoritism or retaliation. That's why we have a town attorney. It's sensitive. I sit alongside all these board members. Staff serves at the pleasure of the board. My only ask was for you to give a firm legal determination on anything that was requested. I did not authorize any negotiations or anything like that. It's not my place, not my authority or anything like that. My only ask was following up on the request made to your firm for firm legal determinations.
I've got a question. As a matter of fact, is the matter settled, or were you just presenting that settlement agreement to the town?
I was presenting it, Commissioner Wooten. I don't have the authority to settle it.
Okay, so it's like, here's what I think you should do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't read it exactly that way. I understand Mark's.
There's a copy of the settlement in here, along with a copy of a certified check, as well as a signature on the settlement agreement for the property owner.
But it's not binding,
has-
it's not
it has not-
binding until the town signs it and has it notarized, correct?
That is correct.
So it's technically not settled.
Correct.
Right.
I think back to Commissioner Taylor's question was on what authority, on behalf of who were you acting on? I don't think it's proper to get into the details of any proposed settlements or anything like that. So that, let's back up to, that's unnecessary in my opinion.
Yeah, we're not here to discuss that part of it. I agree with that too. So,
Okay.
So Mayor, you didn't give the authority to, just so I'm understanding this correctly, or if I'm saying wrong, you did not give the authority for our attorney to negotiate on our behalf?
No.
Did you or did you not?
No.
Okay. Manager, did you give the authority to negotiate on our behalf?
No, sir, and furthermore, I responded in writing that I'm not the point of contact on this matter per instructions from the mayor, but if I were in a position, I have no authority to authorize that. We're on an equal playing field. Any authority to negotiate or move through anything legal has to come from the board. So no, sir, I didn't, and in my emails responded back to Mr. Smith that he would have to go through the mayor.
That is my concern there. is,
Well, that's one concern, and this, I guess 335 was the pinnacle of what drew additional attention after this October 28th email that you sent, and we were forwarded along with the settlement agreement. You were first made aware, well, your partner, Mr. Kellis, was made aware of this on July 30th, the day after you were appointed. Carolina Law Group was appointed at a local business with Manager Zapp, Mayor Holland, Commissioner Sawyer, and some of our department heads present. And you were made aware that 330 Live Oak was an issue, there was potential violations, and that they wanted legal opinion due to the fact that it was a seated elected official. And so now we're all the way down That's in July, August, September. We're not really seeing a whole lot of action. I saw some back and forth. Are you going to issue the notice of violation prior to that? Can you give us a position statement? Finally got that one. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a clause in one of these that stated that if our UDO was not clear, then how do we need to clean up that language? And I don't recall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, staff, I don't recall receiving any input on that, because if there is inaccuracies there, I'm more than happy to clean that up and make it as clear as water. I mean, we want to be transparent.
I've been working on those questions about the UDO, the transparency, cleaning up those issues that you're referring to. I want to say it was October 26th that Mr. Zapp sent me an email saying, look at these 3 issues. I am doing that. I could discuss that right now if you'd like.
I don't want to go into detail. I'm just making sure that we have all the facts there. But that brought up some other issues. Initially, when I think one of the issues that we first brought up, and we went to legal for advice on, this was very early in this contract, a member of staff who went with a true legal concern was told that they would need to take that up with the DA. I thought that's why we hired legal. And then the timeliness of delivering the services and requests for ordinances or easements or other things that the town has requested has not been timely. And those are the things that 330 was just the pinnacle that drew the attention to the bigger picture, to be honest. And I just don't feel like Carolina Law Group is providing the services that the town of Emerald Isle needs. And I make a motion to dismiss Carolina Law Group immediately, acknowledging that we are obligated for another 30 days of compensation.
All right. Commissioner Sanderson has made a motion to dismiss Carolina Law Group with 30 days compensation to fulfill the contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
There hasn't been enough discussion for me to do that this early. Sorry, I know we're at a 4:30 stop, but, I mean, key words. Me and Matt want to stay as far from this as possible. That's confusing. That's me saying, hey, man, take care of this. I want to stay as far away. I want my hands clean of it. I'm just saying there has to be more discussion for me. I haven't been sent an email every time that they've been late. I just don't feel like I'm filled in. I feel like I get information here and there. Why haven't, every time that they've dropped the ball, why haven't I got an email? Why haven't I been told? We messed up the first time when we fired an attorney because we just came in here and made a decision. That's where I'm at with it. If y'all want to table it, it's fine, but I'm not going to go into a minute and 20 minutes and file an attorney when I don't have the information. Sorry.
All right. Well, motion was carried 3-2 to not dismiss, so that takes care of that part. All right. Town clerk isn't with us, so no comments there. Mr. Kirby, any final comments, sir?
I feel like I should probably say something.
Sure. Floor is yours.
No. I would say with timeliness, we've tried to be timely. I would say with the Misty Lane issue, if you're familiar with that one, I believe last council started working on that in November of last year. We got the issue in, I think you say July 30th when we were hired. We took 6 weeks, but we got a definitive issue in a month and a half when prior council hadn't gotten you an answer in roughly 9 months. So we are working hard. If there's communication breakdowns, I apologize. Let me say that. I direct my response is to generally the person who asked the questions. So if I get an email from Mr. Zapp, I respond to Mr. Zapp, or Mr. Seberg to Mr. Seberg. I don't think, let me just let the entire board know what's going on.
And you shouldn't have to.
So, for that, and I will say, when we get requests for legal work, it doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't come with a deadline generally. I mean, sometimes it does, but I don't recall any in this situation so far. When, we get a question, we're going to answer it as quickly as we can, but if something needs to be addressed sooner, please let us know, and we'll address it sooner.
It's my understanding that by the time it gets to legal counsel, at least it's always been, as a staff member, when I posed a question with the manager's blessing to legal counsel, that's because we don't have an answer. Everything we take to legal is an urgent matter. We don't have the answer. We don't have the resources to get the answer. That's why we took it to legal. If we could have settled it on our own, we wouldn't spend the taxpayers' money.
I've got a question. Before Carolina Law Group, every time a tree was cut down and there was a notice of violation given, was legal involved? Do we not have a definitive thing for this? I mean, that's my question.
I think that I can't answer your question for sure. Mr. Seberg or Mr. Zapp may be able to. However, it was noted on July 30th that the reason for a legal interpretation on this one was that it was a sitting elected official. There has been another legal request due to it being a former town employee who has some questions and concerns. There have been a couple of other things that have come up like that where legal has to get involved. And a lot of the other former employee, he has legal counsel. So if someone has legal counsel, then the town needs to go to their legal counsel and let those counsels work together. But they can't agree to anything unless this board authorizes it.
So other than 330 Live Oak, as far as the UDO goes and the planning department with notice of violations, I understand that we requested your services because it had to do with the sitting commissioner. Have you been tasked with any other UDO violation
Yes, sir.
request?
Yes, sir.
Where's the,
It's 7330 Sound Drive.
okay, I guess what I'm saying is, why are we needing legal now to address things in the UDO?
Because that
I'm
ruling
just
is,
asking before Carolina Law Group, could I request all requests for legal prior 3 months of Carolina Law Group?
Absolutely. I can answer your question, Mr. Sawyer. So for Mr. Kirby, just so you know, past legal was requested for information on Misty Lane, opined and turned that around. We received new information, which I have to be very delicate about, as you indicated, about attorney-client privilege. I gave you that information, and it required a second opinion because of that new data. Was there miscommunication at the CLG level that would have theoretically delayed that response up to 6 weeks? Because I think there was some miscommunication internally. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
It was just an accident. It happens. I'm not criticizing my colleague across from me, but it took us 6 weeks. And what I kept stressing was, we're doing a $3.1 million bill. This is very important. We need to know the data. So we worked through that. I just want you to be clear. And Mr. Sawyer, I shared that with you.
You did?
I didn't send you an email. Also knowing that there's a working relationship here that's really a dynamic that's hard for me. I respect Mr. Brownlow. I've worked with Mr. Brownlow's past, his current capacity and where he sits today. It's awkward. We got the call from Mr. Ward on June 11th. That was actually the last day the town attorney was with us. The previous firm released their services the very next day. I would have called the previous firm on the June 12th date, but they were gone. So we had no attorney between June 12th and July 30th. So the day that we got a new attorney in office, we were working through it. Mr. Taylor, did you advise me to follow up with a fellow commissioner on the 29th of July?
Yes.
Did you do it in writing?
No.
You emailed me.
Emailed
and you emailed the mayor. So I'm
Yes.
sitting here telling you this is a very awkward position to be in, and I'm going to look to my colleague, Mr. Seberg. Is this not an awkward situation for us to violate up to a seated team member? It's a very awkward. We've never had to do it before. So to answer your question, why we're even sitting here is because this is a first-time occurrence. Now, the violation occurred, it's very clear, and I've been asking, well, the opinion from the attorney is a violation occurred at 3:30. So I'm going to ask the attorney, when trees are removed, what is the determination that we've been asking of your office pertinent to not just 3:30, but all the subsequent? Because if it's
Are we
not
going to
clear,
discuss my case now?
it's not about your case, it's about trees, because it's 7330.
What he was given was just a photo taken from the street, and was asked to make an opinion on that, of my property.
Is that accurate?
Well, he was also given an unauthorized drone photo.
Or all the drawings that we measured in the
I had
field?
access, I assume, to everything Mr. Seberg.
Yeah, and you had all the access, all the data, all the measurements that were created in the field. So the question that I have for you, and we're not on trial here, we're just trying to get to the bottom of a question. If a tree is cut down in Emerald Isle, according to the ordinance today, the UDO today, is it $1,000 no matter how many trees that are cut down, or is it $1,000 per tree? The reason I ask is 5 trees out of 7 that were taken out at 7330 were in healthy, good condition. 2 were dead. The resident, that property, was unaware of the rules. She's new to the area, and we have to do something, provide some sort of a notice of violation. So we've asked, and Mr. Seberg and I are still unclear, what is the violation that's supposed to go to 330, and what's the violation supposed to go to 7330? That's all we keep asking in email, bolded and highlighted. How much is it, and can we draft those 2 letters? How much is the violation per tree or for all trees?
Violation is always, the fine is always $1,000. There's no discretion, up or down. Okay? When you start talking about the trees, it gets complicated, because there are exemptions in section 2, get myself tongue-tied, 2.411. The tree has to have a caliper of 3 inches at
36
36
inches above
inches of
grade.
height, okay? If the tree's down, how do you calculate it? I don't know. But yes, it's $1,000 per tree. But then, if you read it says, under section 9.5.3, under 5, individual tree violations, for purposes of the dunes and vegetation regulations, the removal of each tree and the failure to replace each tree on a given parcel of land shall be viewed as individual violations of these regulations. I've been struggling with that, because I think what that's saying is you have to give the homeowner an opportunity to replace the tree before you can assess the fine.
Right, and that's the question that we raised, and the reason that we raised that question is, if anything's occurred at any of these sites, we've asked that question repetitively over the last 90 days. We just need clarification. If someone cuts a tree in EI, illegally cuts a tree, should they be fined $1,000 per tree, yes or no? Or should they be allowed to replant? And then the question was, within how many days? Then there was the first opinion that said 60 days. It was either before or after certificate of occupancy. So we've worked through all these questions. That's the reason that Mr. Seberg and I still can't produce a document. We are waiting for that document to come from legal.
I'm sorry to cut you short there, and to honor the request to stop the meeting at 4:30. I'll ask the board, is it reasonable to ask by the, November 12th meeting? The next board meeting, to have in writing, clear, and not particular to any lot, doesn't matter. Some kind of a timeline on when any gray areas of UDO can be cleaned up and a firm legal determination. I don't want to get too granular on one lot. I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the real reason that we're not focusing on the real reason we're here, but I also want to honor the motion to end the meeting at 4:30, and the board has not had a chance to give any final comments. So I'll ask the board to provide staff with any feedback, or provide directly to legal any feedback that they want, any questions they want answered, and go from there. But like I said, I don't want anything singled out. I don't want any dead horses beaten. So with that, I'll ask for final comments from the commissioners.
Mr. Mayor, does our protocol established at the October meeting not prohibit us from contacting legal directly? Shouldn't that go through you?
You guys individually ask me any questions you want answered by the legal department. I'll make sure they get them, and I'll
Yeah.
make sure you have the response
Okay.
within 24 clock hours.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I need to ask the clarification. Can Carolina Law Group provide us the NOV to the seated commissioners so that we're not involved in it? We don't have an opinion on that. We just simply want to know what legal is determined, and then if they owe anything at all. We don't mind if they don't owe anything. We just don't want to make a mistake as staff members to a seated elected official. We want resolve to it. We've asked, and I'll specifically say it in public, Mr. Smith, with the blessing of the board, we're asking that you write the notice of violation to the recipient property owner at both 330 and 7330, because Mr. Seberg and I needed your legal guidance in those two matters.
Thank you. All right.
May I?
Very quickly, please, sir.
Do you want me to issue the notice of violation? Because I understood that was what I was being asked to do. I was contacted by the Brown Liz attorney, and we negotiated a settlement, and I brought that to the board. And my question to you is, do you want me to forego the settlement and issue the notice of violation?
And
Those are things that we were not privy to, and honestly, without a notice of violation, there is no settlement.
I'd like to make a comment. Just for the record, we have an as-built survey. Our lot was designed, the layout was designed by a professional engineer, and we have an as-built survey that shows that our lot, even with the modification due to a septic tank relocation, is still in compliance with the 35% natural area of the UDO. And we have that, it's a sealed survey, 35% compliance, just like everyone else submits and gets a CO. But yet, we have plenty of cases right here where there's lots of other places that have cleared areas, 100% clearing on their lots, and also got COs. And so, all we asked was that we treated fairly like everyone else, no more. We don't want any special privileges, but also we don't want to be pounded on just because we are, because I am a commissioner and my family suffered the consequences of that. And just because I might not agree with all the rest of the majority of the board's decisions over here, I feel like this is like a witch hunt. And we're being made an example, just like putting our address on there, singling us out. We're already being stalked by people all over the town, getting hate mail by hate groups and everything. And so I could go on about the consequences of what's happened there. But anyway, the bottom line is that we have a sealed document by a professional who put their license on the line that says our property's in compliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sawyer.
I just like to say, going forward, legal drops the ball. I want to know about it during the game, not after the game. Mr. Smith, time is of the essence. If the town tasks you with something, show us how good you are.
Yes, sir.
Snap, snap.
I have
Get it
heard the
going.
request for an NOV for 330 Live Oak and 7330 Sound. What's a timely expectation for that?
Mr. Smith is asking for clarification whether we should issue it or not, and that's, I think, a board decision. That's the problem, that's the circle that we're in here. In his defense, we're trying to figure out what the board wants us to do.
And so if I have a survey, sealed survey that says I have 35%, what's the violation?
Maybe we should discuss that.
I'm happy to call another meeting to discuss that. I don't know, I need.
This was about legal services and not about
It's not
Brownlow's lot.
it's not about an NOV, yeah, no, I'm gonna stop it there. It's not about an NOV, it's not about a particular lot. It was about legal representation, primarily and as a whole. I'll find out whether it needs to be a closed session, or not. Carolina Law Group was asked to provide an NOV on 2 lots that I know of. It's a board level, whether you want it or not. I don't think it needs to be discussed any further. I'll do legal research and find out the right way to handle it, the way everybody's treated fairly and it's done right, once and for all, and we'll go from there. Jay, any final?
No, sir.
Mark?
Oh, sir, thanks for having the meeting today, and I just want to be informed. I don't feel like I was informed probably 40% of this whole thing going on, so if any emails back and forth dealing with legal that gets to a point that we're at right now, back 50% back where we're at, I need to be on every email format as a board member.
So, Mr. Mayor, I want to clarify, going forward, every time we email the town attorney, we're going to CC the board if then, unless instructed otherwise.
I don't see a problem with that at all. All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have a great night.